Question 1. Upon reviewing a client's request for a significant IBM power system scale-up to address perceived performance bottlenecks, what is the most critical initial step a technical sales professional must take to ensure a responsible and effective solution recommendation? Option A. Rely on the client's assertion that they have already performed their own risk assessment and are only seeking hardware specifications. Option B. Conduct a thorough risk assessment to identify potential vulnerabilities and operational impacts associated with the proposed scale-up. Option C. Immediately propose the highest performing IBM power systems model to meet the client's stated need for increased processing power. Option D. Focus exclusively on the technical specifications and features of the most advanced IBM power system solutions to impress the client. Correct answer is B. Conduct a thorough risk assessment to identify potential vulnerabilities and operational impacts associated with the proposed scale-up. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires balancing the client's immediate perceived needs with a thorough understanding of potential risks that might not be immediately apparent. The technical sales professional must act as a trusted advisor, not just a product pusher. The challenge lies in identifying and communicating these risks without alienating the client or jeopardizing the sale, all while adhering to ethical sales practices and any applicable regulatory guidelines for technology sales and data handling. The pressure to close a deal can sometimes overshadow the due diligence required for a responsible recommendation. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes a comprehensive risk assessment before proposing a solution. This aligns with ethical sales principles that advocate for understanding the client's true needs and potential vulnerabilities. In the context of IBM power systems, scale-up solutions often involve significant investment and integration into critical business operations. A thorough risk assessment, considering factors like data security, business continuity, compliance requirements, if any are implied by the client's industry, though not explicitly stated here, it's a general best practice. And operational impact ensures that the proposed solution is not only technically capable, but also strategically sound and minimizes potential negative consequences for the client. This proactive approach builds long-term trust and demonstrates a commitment to the client's success beyond the immediate transaction. Incorrect approach is analysis, focusing solely on the client's stated desire for increased processing power without investigating underlying needs or potential risks, is a regulatory and ethical failure. It can lead to a solution that doesn't address the root cause of performance issues, potentially causing further problems or failing to deliver expected benefits. This approach prioritizes the sale over the client's actual business objectives and could be seen as misrepresentation if the solution is not fit for purpose. Recommending the most powerful and feature-rich system available without understanding the client's specific workload, existing infrastructure, or risk tolerance is also a failure. This overspecing can lead to unnecessary costs and complexity for the client, and it fails to demonstrate due diligence in understanding their requirements. Ethically, it's a disservice to the client to recommend a solution that is not optimized for their situation. Assuming the client has already conducted their own comprehensive risk assessment and is solely seeking technical implementation is a dangerous assumption. While clients may have internal processes, the technical sales professional has a responsibility to ensure the proposed solution aligns with a holistic view of the client's environment, including potential risks that might be overlooked by the client's internal teams. Relying solely on the client's self-assessment without independent verification can lead to overlooking critical vulnerabilities. Professional reasoning. Professionals in technical sales should adopt a consultative approach. This involves active listening to understand the client's stated problem, but also probing to uncover underlying needs, constraints, and potential risks. A structured risk assessment framework, even if informal, should be part of the discovery process. This involves asking questions about data sensitivity, compliance obligations, disaster recovery plans, and the impact of downtime. The goal is to identify potential threats and vulnerabilities that the proposed solution must mitigate. If risks are identified, they should be discussed transparently with the client, and the solution should be tailored to address them. This process ensures that recommendations are not only technically sound, but also strategically aligned with the client's overall business objectives and risk appetite, fostering trust and long-term partnerships. Question 2. Compliance review shows that a client has requested a specific IBM power system scale-up configuration, citing a need for a particular number of processors and memory. However, the technical sales professional suspects this configuration may not be the most efficient or scalable path to achieve the client's stated business objectives of improving transaction processing speed and reducing operational costs. Which approach best represents a professional and compliant response? Option A. Conduct a thorough discovery to understand the client's underlying business objectives, current pain points, and future growth plans before proposing any specific IBM power system scale-up configuration. Option B. Focus solely on presenting the lowest initial cost option for the requested IBM power system scale-up configuration, assuming cost is the primary driver for the client. Option C. Recommend the most advanced and feature-rich IBM power system scale-up configuration available, regardless of whether those features directly address the client's stated business needs. Option D. Immediately proceed with configuring the IBM power system scale-up solution exactly as requested by the client to ensure client satisfaction and avoid any perceived resistance. The correct answer is A. Conduct a thorough discovery to understand the client's underlying business objectives, current pain points, and future growth plans before proposing any specific IBM power system scale-up configuration. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in technical sales where a client's perceived immediate need for a specific hardware configuration might conflict with a more strategic, long-term best practice for achieving their stated business objectives. The challenge lies in balancing the client's direct requests with the technical sales professional's responsibility to provide solutions that are not only technically sound, but also align with the client's overall business goals and future scalability. Misinterpreting or overemphasizing a single requirement can lead to suboptimal solutions, increased costs, and potential future technical debt. The professional must navigate this by understanding the underlying business drivers and translating them into the most effective technical architecture. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a deep dive into the client's business objectives and current operational pain points before recommending a specific IBM power system scale-up solution. This aligns with best professional practice by prioritizing a consultative sales methodology. By understanding the why behind the client's request for a specific configuration, the technical sales professional can identify if that configuration is truly the most efficient and scalable path to achieving their goals. This approach ensures that the proposed solution is not just a reactive fix, but a strategic investment that supports future growth and minimizes potential technical or business risks. It demonstrates a commitment to the client's success beyond the immediate transaction, fostering trust and long-term partnerships. This aligns with ethical sales principles of providing value and avoiding misrepresentation of solutions. Incorrect approaches analysis. One incorrect approach is to immediately configure the system based solely on the client's stated preference for a particular processor count and memory configuration without further investigation. This fails to address the underlying business requirements and may lead to an over-provisioned or under-provisioned system, resulting in unnecessary costs or performance limitations. This is a failure of due diligence and a potential misrepresentation of the most effective solution. Another incorrect approach is to focus exclusively on the lowest initial cost without considering the total cost of ownership or the scalability needs. While cost is a factor, prioritizing it above performance, scalability, and long-term operational efficiency can lead to significant hidden costs and a system that quickly becomes inadequate, requiring costly upgrades or replacements. This approach neglects the client's long-term business strategy and can be seen as short-sighted and potentially harmful to the client's operational continuity. A third incorrect approach is to recommend a solution that prioritizes cutting-edge features over proven stability and compatibility, especially if the client's operational environment is not ready for such advancements, or if the features do not directly address their stated business needs. This can introduce unnecessary complexity, increase the risk of implementation issues, and divert resources from core business functions. It demonstrates a lack of understanding of the client's risk tolerance and operational maturity. Professional reasoning. Professionals should adopt a structured, client-centric approach. This involves active listening to understand not just the stated requirements, but also the unspoken business drivers and challenges. The process should include discovery questions to uncover the why behind the request, followed by an analysis of the client's current environment, future growth projections, and critical business processes. Based on this comprehensive understanding, the technical sales professional can then architect and propose an IBM Power Systems scale-up solution that is technically optimal, cost-effective over its life cycle, and strategically aligned with the client's business objectives. This consultative approach builds credibility and ensures that the proposed solution delivers tangible business value. Question 3. Examination of the data shows a potential client in the financial services sector is highly concerned about meeting stringent data residency and privacy regulations for their sensitive customer information when considering an upgrade to IBM Power Systems for their core banking applications. Which of the following approaches best aligns with regulatory compliance and professional best practices for a technical sales professional? Option A. Emphasize how IBM Power Systems' advanced processing power and scalability can significantly improve application performance, while assuring the client that data security is a standard feature and detailed compliance discussions are best handled by their internal IT security team. Option B. Highlight the cost savings and operational efficiencies gained by consolidating workloads onto a new IBM Power Systems platform, suggesting that the client's existing data protection measures will be sufficient given the platform's inherent robustness. Option C. Focus on the broad range of IBM Power Systems hardware and software options, leaving the client to determine which specific configurations are necessary to meet their regulatory obligations, and provide generic documentation on IBM security features. Option D. Proactively discuss and demonstrate specific IBM Power Systems features and configuration options that directly support data residency requirements and enhance data privacy controls, such as encryption capabilities, access logging, and secure data erasure, and offer to engage IBM's compliance specialists to review the proposed architecture. The correct answer is A. Emphasize how IBM Power Systems' advanced processing power and scalability can significantly improve application performance, while assuring the client that data security is a standard feature and detailed compliance discussions are best handled by their internal IT security team. Explanation: this scenario is professionally challenging because it requires a technical sales professional to navigate the complex landscape of data privacy regulations while promoting IBM Power Systems solutions. The core challenge lies in balancing the need to demonstrate the capabilities of the technology with the imperative to protect sensitive customer data, ensuring compliance with all applicable laws. Careful judgment is required to avoid misrepresenting capabilities or inadvertently suggesting non-compliant data handling practices. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes adherence to regulatory frameworks, specifically those governing data privacy and security. By focusing on how IBM Power Systems solutions can be configured and utilized to meet these stringent requirements, the sales professional demonstrates a commitment to ethical business conduct and client trust. This approach aligns with the principles of responsible technology sales, where understanding and addressing regulatory compliance is as crucial as highlighting technical features. It ensures that the proposed solutions not only meet performance needs, but also safeguard customer data according to legal mandates, thereby mitigating risks for both the client and IBM. An incorrect approach that suggests bypassing or downplaying data privacy controls is professionally unacceptable due to direct regulatory and ethical failures. Such an approach would violate data protection laws, leading to severe penalties, reputational damage, and loss of client confidence. It demonstrates a disregard for client confidentiality and a lack of understanding of the legal obligations associated with handling sensitive information. Another incorrect approach that focuses solely on technical specifications without addressing how these specifications support compliance would be professionally deficient. While technical prowess is important, neglecting the regulatory context means failing to provide a complete and responsible solution. This oversight can lead clients to implement systems in ways that inadvertently breach regulations, creating significant legal and financial exposure for them. The professional reasoning framework for such situations involves a multi-step process. First, thoroughly understand the client's industry and the specific data privacy regulations applicable to their operations. Second, assess how IBM Power Systems features and configurations can be leveraged to meet these regulatory requirements, focusing on security, access controls, and data lifecycle management. Third, Communicate these compliance-enabling aspects clearly and accurately to the client, avoiding any ambiguity or overpromising. Finally, collaborate with legal and compliance teams within IBM and the client organization to ensure all proposed solutions are fully compliant. Question 4. Performance analysis shows a consistent increase in average CPU utilization across several IBM Power Systems servers running critical business applications, with no immediate indication of specific application errors or system crashes. What is the most appropriate next step for a technical sales professional to take? Option A. Advise the client to focus on optimizing their application code for better resource utilization, assuming the bottleneck is purely software-related. Option B. Propose a complete re-architecture of the client's application environment to a cloud-native solution to leverage scalability and reduce on-premises resource demands. Option C. Immediately recommend a hardware upgrade to the next generation of Power Systems servers to proactively address potential future performance limitations. Option D. Engage with the client's technical team to gather detailed information about the specific workloads running on these servers, their performance characteristics, and any recent changes to the application environment or usage patterns. The correct answer is D. Engage with the client's technical team to gather detailed information about the specific workloads running on these servers, their performance characteristics, and any recent changes to the application environment or usage patterns. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in technical sales where performance metrics, while indicating a potential issue, do not definitively pinpoint the root cause. The professional challenge lies in translating raw performance data into actionable insights that align with client business objectives and technical capabilities, while also adhering to IBM sales and support guidelines. Misinterpreting the data or proposing an inappropriate solution can lead to wasted resources, client dissatisfaction, and potential reputational damage. The urgency implied by performance analysis shows necessitates a prompt yet thorough response, balancing speed with accuracy. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a systematic, data-driven investigation that prioritizes understanding the client's specific workload and environment before proposing any changes. This aligns with best professional practice by ensuring that solutions are tailored and effective. From a regulatory and ethical standpoint, this approach demonstrates due diligence and a commitment to providing accurate and beneficial advice. It respects the client's investment and avoids unnecessary disruption or expenditure. IBM's own technical sales methodologies emphasize a consultative approach, focusing on understanding business needs and technical environments before recommending solutions, which is implicitly supported by the exam's focus on technical sales. Incorrect approaches analysis. Proposing a hardware upgrade solely based on a general performance bottleneck without understanding the specific workload is a regulatory and ethical failure. It risks misdiagnosing the problem, leading to unnecessary costs for the client and potentially not resolving the actual issue. This approach bypasses the due diligence required to ensure a solution is appropriate and effective, potentially violating principles of fair dealing and responsible sales practices. Suggesting a software optimization without a clear understanding of the underlying hardware capabilities or the nature of the performance bottleneck is also professionally unacceptable. It assumes a software-centric solution without validating if the hardware is the limiting factor, or if software changes would even yield significant improvements. This can lead to wasted effort and client frustration, failing to meet the expectation of providing expert, informed guidance. Recommending a complete system re-architecture without a detailed analysis of the current system's limitations and the client's future requirements is premature and potentially wasteful. While re-architecture can be a valid solution, it should be a last resort after thorough investigation and should be driven by specific, identified limitations that cannot be addressed by more targeted solutions. This approach lacks the precision and cost-effectiveness expected in professional technical sales. Professional reasoning. Professionals should approach performance analysis by first seeking to understand the context of the data. This involves gathering information about the client's specific workload, application behavior, and existing infrastructure. The next step is to correlate the performance metrics with these contextual details to form hypotheses about the root cause. Solutions should then be proposed based on these hypotheses, starting with the least disruptive and most cost-effective options. This iterative process of data gathering, analysis, hypothesis testing, and solution proposal ensures that recommendations are well-founded, client-centric, and aligned with professional standards of care. Question 5. Governance review demonstrates that client has requested a specific configuration of IBM Power Systems scale-up hardware to address an immediate performance bottleneck in their data processing. However, preliminary analysis suggests that this requested configuration might not be the most optimal for their projected long-term growth and overall business objectives. What is the most appropriate technical sales approach in this situation? Option A. Immediately provision the exact hardware configuration requested by the client to ensure their immediate performance bottleneck is resolved as quickly as possible. Option B. Engage in a deep discovery process to understand the client's underlying business problem, strategic goals, and future growth projections, and then propose a tailored IBM Power Systems scale-up solution that addresses both immediate needs and long-term objectives. Option C. Politely inform the client that their requested configuration is not ideal and present a predefined, standard IBM Power Systems scale-up solution that is typically recommended for similar workloads. Option D. Focus the discussion solely on the technical merits and performance benchmarks of the requested hardware configuration, assuring the client it will meet their immediate needs. The correct answer is B. Engage in a deep discovery process to understand the client's underlying business problem, strategic goals, and future growth projections, and then propose a tailored IBM Power Systems scale-up solution that addresses both immediate needs and long-term objectives. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in technical sales where a client's perceived immediate need for a specific hardware configuration might conflict with a more strategic, long-term solution that aligns better with their overall business objectives and IBM's best practices for power system scale-up. The challenge lies in balancing the client's immediate request with the responsibility to provide expert guidance that ensures optimal performance, scalability, and cost-effectiveness, while adhering to IBM sales and technical guidelines. The technical sales professional must navigate potential client resistance to alternative solutions and demonstrate the value proposition of a more comprehensive approach. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a thorough discovery process to understand the client's underlying business problem and strategic goals, rather than solely focusing on their stated hardware requirement. This aligns with the principle of consultative selling, which is paramount in technical sales. By identifying the root cause and broader objectives, the technical sales professional can then propose a solution that leverages the full capabilities of IBM Power Systems scale-up, potentially offering a more robust, future-proof, and cost-effective outcome. This approach demonstrates a commitment to client success, builds trust, and positions IBM as a strategic partner, not just a hardware vendor. It also implicitly adheres to IBM's internal sales methodologies and ethical guidelines that prioritize client value and long-term relationships. Incorrect approaches analysis. One incorrect approach involves immediately fulfilling the client's specific hardware request without further investigation. This fails to address the potential for a suboptimal solution that might not meet the client's true needs or future growth. It represents a failure in professional due diligence and could lead to client dissatisfaction and wasted resources if the requested configuration is not the most appropriate. Ethically, it could be seen as a missed opportunity to provide superior value. Another incorrect approach is to dismiss the client's request outright and push a predefined, standard scale-up solution without understanding the client's specific context. This demonstrates a lack of flexibility and an unwillingness to engage with the client's unique situation. It can alienate the client and damage the professional relationship, as it signals a lack of attentiveness to their concerns. This approach also risks proposing a solution that is not a good fit, leading to performance issues or unmet requirements. A third incorrect approach is to focus solely on the technical specifications of the requested hardware, without considering the business implications or the client's strategic direction. This narrow focus can lead to a technically sound but strategically misaligned solution. It fails to demonstrate the broader value of IBM Power Systems scale-up in supporting business growth and transformation, which is a key aspect of technical sales expertise. Professional reasoning. Professionals should adopt a structured, client-centric approach. This involves active listening, probing questions to uncover underlying needs and objectives, and a thorough analysis of the client's business context. The decision-making process should prioritize understanding the why behind the client's request before proposing a what. This allows for the development of tailored solutions that deliver maximum value and align with both client success and IBM strategic objectives. This consultative methodology ensures that recommendations are not just technically feasible, but also strategically sound and ethically responsible. Question 6. Analysis of a client's current IBM Power Systems workload reveals consistent year-over-year growth of 15% in transaction volume and a stated business objective to double their market share within the next 3 years. The client's current infrastructure is nearing its capacity limits. What is the most appropriate technical sales approach for recommending a power system scale-up solution? Option A. Focus on a solution that meets the immediate capacity needs, suggesting that any future scale-up can be addressed with a completely new system deployment when the time comes. Option B. Conduct a detailed workload analysis, including historical growth trends and projected business expansion, to architect a power system solution with a clear, documented path for future scale-up that aligns with the client's stated business objectives and budget considerations. Option C. Propose the highest-tier power systems model available, assuming that future growth will necessitate the most robust configuration regardless of specific workload requirements or current budget. Option D. Recommend a solution based on the client's current peak transaction volume, advising them to revisit infrastructure needs once they experience performance degradation. The correct answer is B. Conduct a detailed workload analysis, including historical growth trends and projected business expansion, to architect a power system solution with a clear, documented path for future scale-up that aligns with the client's stated business objectives and budget considerations. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a professional challenge where a technical sales representative must balance client needs with the capabilities and licensing of IBM Power Systems. The core difficulty lies in accurately assessing the client's future growth projections and aligning them with the most appropriate and cost-effective power system solution, while also adhering to IBM's licensing models and sales guidelines. Misinterpreting growth or recommending an under-spec system could lead to client dissatisfaction and lost future business, while overspecing could result in unnecessary client expenditure and potential noncompliance with licensing terms if not properly managed. The representative must demonstrate a deep understanding of both the technical aspects of power system scale-up and the commercial implications of their recommendations. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a thorough discovery process to understand the client's current workload, historical growth patterns, and projected future business expansion. This includes engaging with the client's IT and business stakeholders to gain a comprehensive view of their operational requirements and strategic objectives. Based on this detailed understanding, the representative can then architect a power system solution that not only meets immediate needs, but also provides a clear, documented path for future scale-up. This approach aligns with best professional practice by prioritizing client success and long-term partnership. It ensures that the proposed solution is technically sound, commercially viable, and strategically aligned with the client's business goals, thereby maximizing the value delivered by IBM Power Systems. This also implicitly adheres to IBM sales policies and ethical conduct by providing accurate and relevant solutions. Incorrect approaches analysis. Recommending a solution based solely on the client's current peak usage without considering future growth is a regulatory and ethical failure. This approach neglects the scale-up aspect of the exam's focus and could lead to the client quickly outgrowing their infrastructure, necessitating costly and disruptive upgrades. It fails to uphold the professional responsibility of providing a forward-looking and sustainable solution. Suggesting a system with significantly more capacity than currently required or projected, without a clear business justification from the client, represents a failure in ethical sales practices and potentially in adhering to IBM sales guidelines regarding responsible solutioning. This could be perceived as upselling without genuine client benefit, leading to unnecessary expenditure for the client and potentially creating an unfavorable perception of IBM sales integrity. Focusing exclusively on the most advanced and highest-tier power systems models, without a detailed assessment of the client's specific workload characteristics and budget constraints, is also professionally unsound. This approach prioritizes product features over client needs and financial realities, potentially leading to a solution that is over-engineered and cost-prohibitive, failing to meet the client's actual requirements and budget. Professional reasoning. Professionals should adopt a consultative sales approach. This involves active listening, probing questions, and a commitment to understanding the client's business challenges and opportunities. The decision-making process should be data-driven, relying on gathered information about current state, historical trends, and future projections. The representative must then translate this understanding into a technically appropriate and commercially sound IBM Power Systems solution that offers a clear and justifiable path for scale-up, ensuring both client satisfaction and adherence to IBM's ethical and business standards. Question 7. System analysis indicates that a client is experiencing performance limitations with their current application environment, impacting critical business operations. They are considering an upgrade to IBM Power Systems scale-up technology to address these issues. The client has a diverse application portfolio, some of which are legacy systems with limited documentation, and others are modern applications. They also have a strict budget for the initial phase of the upgrade. What is the most appropriate technical sales approach to recommend for the implementation of IBM Power Systems scale-up? Option A. Propose a phased migration strategy, prioritizing critical workloads for initial deployment on the new IBM Power Systems scale-up infrastructure, while planning for subsequent phases to address less critical applications and optimize existing systems. Option B. Suggest a solution focused exclusively on leveraging the most advanced, cutting-edge features of the IBM Power Systems scale-up technology, even if some features have limited immediate applicability to the client's current critical workloads. Option C. Advise the client to defer the upgrade to IBM Power Systems scale-up until their legacy applications are fully modernized and compatible with the latest platform capabilities. Option D. Recommend an immediate, comprehensive migration of all applications and associated infrastructure to the new IBM Power Systems scale-up environment to maximize the immediate benefits of the new technology. The correct answer is A. Propose a phased migration strategy, prioritizing critical workloads for initial deployment on the new IBM Power Systems scale-up infrastructure, while planning for subsequent phases to address less critical applications and optimize existing systems. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common implementation challenge where a client's existing infrastructure, while functional, is not optimally aligned with the capabilities of new IBM Power Systems scale-up technology. The challenge lies in balancing the client's immediate operational needs and budget constraints with the long-term benefits of a more robust and scalable solution. A technically sound recommendation must also be commercially viable and align with the client's strategic objectives, requiring a deep understanding of both the technology and the client's business context. The pressure to deliver a solution that meets performance targets without significant disruption or cost overruns adds to the complexity. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a phased migration strategy. This represents best professional practice because it acknowledges the client's current operational realities and budget limitations. By prioritizing critical workloads for initial migration and leveraging existing infrastructure where appropriate, the client can experience tangible benefits sooner, building confidence in the new platform. This approach minimizes risk by allowing for iterative testing and validation, reducing the likelihood of widespread disruption. It also provides flexibility to adjust the migration plan based on early learnings. From a regulatory and ethical standpoint, this approach demonstrates a commitment to responsible implementation, ensuring business continuity, and avoiding undue risk to the client's operations. It aligns with the principle of providing solutions that are not only technically superior, but also practically achievable and beneficial. Incorrect approaches analysis. An approach that mandates an immediate, complete overhaul of all applications and infrastructure, regardless of their current state or criticality, fails to consider the client's operational continuity and financial capacity. This could lead to significant business disruption, potential data loss, and budget overruns, violating ethical obligations to act in the client's best interest and potentially contravening guidelines related to risk management and responsible technology deployment. Another incorrect approach would be to recommend a solution that only addresses the most technically advanced features of the IBM Power Systems scale-up technology, without a clear understanding of how these features directly translate to the client's business needs or how they integrate with existing, non-critical systems. This demonstrates a lack of client centricity and could result in an over-engineered or misaligned solution, failing to deliver the expected return on investment and potentially leading to wasted resources. This could be seen as a failure to provide competent advice. Finally, an approach that focuses solely on the lowest initial cost without considering the total cost of ownership, scalability, or long-term support for the IBM Power System scale-up solution would be professionally unsound. This short-sightedness can lead to hidden costs, performance bottlenecks, and an inability to scale, ultimately harming the client's business and reputation. This represents a failure to provide comprehensive and responsible technical sales advice. Professional reasoning. Professionals should adopt a consultative approach, beginning with a thorough discovery phase to understand the client's business objectives, current pain points, and technical landscape. This understanding forms the basis for evaluating various implementation strategies. The decision-making process should involve assessing the technical feasibility, business impact, risk profile, and cost-effectiveness of each potential approach. Prioritizing solutions that offer a clear path to value realization while mitigating risks is paramount. Regular communication and collaboration with the client throughout the process are essential to ensure alignment and manage expectations. Question 8. Process analysis reveals that a prospective client is requesting a specific hardware feature on an IBM Power System scale-up server, believing it to be the sole solution to an immediate performance issue they are experiencing with their critical business application. As a technical sales professional, what is the most appropriate initial course of action to ensure the client receives the optimal solution for their scale-up needs? Option A. Immediately confirm the client's request for the specific hardware feature and proceed with configuring a system that includes it, assuring them it will resolve their performance concerns. Option B. Engage in a detailed discussion about the client's specific workload characteristics, performance metrics, and future scalability requirements to understand the root cause of their performance issue and identify the most effective power system scale-up architecture to address it. Option C. Lightly inform the client that their requested feature is not the primary driver for performance in power system scale-up environments and suggest they reevaluate their understanding of the platform. Option D. Focus the conversation exclusively on the technical specifications and benefits of the requested hardware feature, highlighting its capabilities without exploring the broader system architecture or client's underlying business needs. The correct answer is B. Engage in a detailed discussion about the client's specific workload characteristics, performance metrics, and future scalability requirements to understand the root cause of their performance issue and identify the most effective power system scale-up architecture to address it. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in technical sales, where a client's perceived immediate need for a specific hardware feature might overshadow a more strategic long-term solution. The challenge lies in balancing the client's expressed desire with the technical sales professional's responsibility to recommend the most effective and efficient solution based on IBM's power system scale-up architecture principle. Misinterpreting or overemphasizing a single feature can lead to suboptimal system design, increased costs, and potential performance bottlenecks later, impacting the client's overall business objectives. The professional must navigate this by understanding the underlying business problem the client is trying to solve, not just the symptom they are describing. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a consultative sales methodology. This means actively listening to the client's stated need, but then probing deeper to understand the business drivers and desired outcomes. By asking clarifying questions about the workload, performance requirements, scalability needs, and future growth projections, the technical sales professional can identify the root cause of the client's request. This allows for the recommendation of a solution that leverages the full capabilities of IBM Power System scale-up, potentially including features like advanced memory configurations, I/O expansion, or specific processor features that address the underlying need more effectively than the single feature the client initially requested. This aligns with best professional practice by prioritizing the client's long-term success and ensuring they receive a solution that is technically sound and economically viable, reflecting IBM's commitment to delivering value. Incorrect approaches analysis. One incorrect approach is to immediately concede to the client's specific feature request without further investigation. This fails to demonstrate technical expertise and a commitment to finding the optimal solution. Ethically, it could be seen as a failure to act in the client's best interest if the requested feature is not the most appropriate or cost-effective way to achieve their goals. It also risks misrepresenting the capabilities and intended use of IBM Power Systems scale-up architecture. Another incorrect approach is to dismiss the client's request outright without understanding the rationale behind it. This can alienate the client and damage the professional relationship. It demonstrates a lack of empathy and consultative skill, potentially leading the client to seek solutions elsewhere. Professionally, it shows an unwillingness to engage with the client's perspective, which is crucial for building trust. A third incorrect approach is to focus solely on the technical specifications of the requested feature, without connecting it to the client's business objectives. While technical accuracy is important, without understanding the why behind the request, the proposed solution might be technically correct but functionally irrelevant or inefficient for the client's actual needs. This misses the opportunity to demonstrate the strategic value of IBM Power Systems scale-up. Professional reasoning. Professionals should employ a structured problem-solving approach. This begins with active listening and information gathering, followed by analysis to understand the core business problem. Next, they should leverage their deep technical knowledge of IBM Power Systems scale-up to identify potential solutions, considering various architectural components and their interdependencies. Finally, they should present a well-reasoned recommendation that clearly articulates the benefits and aligns with the client's strategic goals, demonstrating a commitment to partnership and long-term success. Question 9. Research into a client's existing IBM Power Systems environment reveals they are requesting a refresh of their current infrastructure using a configuration that mirrors their existing setup, citing familiarity and a perceived lack of need for advanced features. The technical sales professional has identified that newer IBM Power Systems models and configurations offer significant performance improvements, enhanced efficiency, and better long-term cost-effectiveness, but these deviate from the client's requested specifications. What is the most professional and ethically sound approach for the technical sales professional to take? Option A. Propose a solution that leverages the latest IBM Power Systems technology and configurations, clearly articulating the business benefits, performance advantages, and long-term cost savings compared to their current setup, while also addressing any concerns about the transition. Option B. Immediately proceed with the client's requested configuration, as their satisfaction with the familiar setup is paramount, and avoid introducing new technologies that might cause confusion or resistance. Option C. Present a hybrid solution that includes some of the client's requested components, but also incorporates a few newer features, without fully explaining the potential limitations of the older components. Option D. Advise the client that their requested configuration is outdated, and suggest they explore entirely different hardware platforms, as IBM Power Systems may not be suitable for their needs. The correct answer is A. Propose a solution that leverages the latest IBM Power Systems technology and configurations, clearly articulating the business benefits, performance advantages, and long-term cost savings compared to their current setup, while also addressing any concerns about the transition. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge because it requires balancing a client's immediate perceived need with the long-term strategic benefits and technical best practices for IBM Power Systems. The client's request for a specific, potentially outdated, configuration driven by familiarity could lead to suboptimal performance, increased support costs, and missed opportunities for leveraging newer, more efficient technologies. Careful judgment is required to guide the client towards a solution that aligns with their business objectives, while adhering to IBM's recommended practices and product roadmaps. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes a consultative sales engagement. This involves understanding the client's underlying business requirements, not just their stated technical preference. By proposing a solution that leverages current IBM Power Systems capabilities, such as newer processor generations or optimized configurations, the technical sales professional demonstrates expertise and a commitment to delivering maximum value. This aligns with ethical sales practices by ensuring the client receives a solution that is technically sound, cost-effective in the long run, and positioned for future growth, thereby fostering trust and a strong client relationship. This approach also implicitly adheres to any internal IBM guidelines regarding solution selling and product lifecycle management. An incorrect approach that focuses solely on fulfilling the client's explicit request without further investigation represents a failure to act in the client's best interest. This could lead to the client investing in a solution that is not future-proof, potentially incurring higher operational expenses or facing limitations sooner than necessary. Ethically, this is a disservice to the client. Another incorrect approach, which might involve upselling unnecessary components or services without a clear business justification, would be a violation of trust and potentially misrepresent the value proposition, bordering on unethical sales tactics. A third incorrect approach, such as dismissing the client's request outright without understanding the rationale behind it, demonstrates poor communication and a lack of empathy, damaging the client relationship and potentially losing the business. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a structured approach. First, actively listen to and understand the client's stated needs and the underlying business drivers. Second, leverage technical expertise to assess the feasibility and long-term implications of the client's request against current IBM Power Systems offerings and best practices. Third, engage in a consultative dialogue, presenting alternative solutions that address the business requirements more effectively, highlighting the benefits and potential drawbacks of each. Fourth, document the proposed solution and the rationale behind it, ensuring transparency and client buy-in. This process ensures that the client receives a solution that is not only technically appropriate, but also strategically aligned with their business goals. Question 10. The evaluation methodology shows that a critical component of demonstrating the value of IBM Power Systems scale-up solutions involves presenting a compelling financial justification to prospective clients. A client's IT director has expressed interest in a new power systems deployment, but is hesitant due to past experiences with complex and opaque cost structures from other vendors. They have requested a clear breakdown of the total cost of ownership, TCO, and a projected return on investment, ROI, that is directly tied to their specific business outcomes. Which of the following approaches best aligns with professional best practices for technical sales in this scenario, ensuring a transparent and client-centric financial justification? Option A. Rely on pre-approved marketing collateral that outlines generic TCO and ROI benefits for IBM Power Systems, assuming these figures will be sufficient to address the client's concerns without further detailed investigation into their unique financial situation. Option B. Provide a detailed technical specification of the proposed power system's hardware and software, along with a high-level estimate of operational costs based on general industry averages, emphasizing the superior performance and reliability of the IBM solution. Option C. Engage with the client's finance department to understand their specific financial reporting requirements, cost allocation methodologies, and key performance indicators, KPI, for measuring ROI, and then develop a customized TCO and ROI analysis that incorporates these elements alongside technical performance benefits. Option D. Present a simplified TCO and ROI model that focuses primarily on the upfront purchase price and projected energy savings, while downplaying potential implementation complexities and ongoing support costs to expedite the sales cycle. Correct answer is B. Provide a detailed technical specification of the proposed power system's hardware and software, along with a high-level estimate of operational costs based on general industry averages, emphasizing the superior performance and reliability of the IBM solution. Explanation: the evaluation methodology shows that a key aspect of technical sales for IBM Power Systems scale-up solutions involves understanding and articulating the total cost of ownership, TCO, and return on investment, ROI, to potential clients. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires not just technical expertise in power systems, but also a nuanced understanding of financial justification and the ability to translate technical benefits into tangible business value. Clients often have diverse financial priorities and risk appetites, making a one-size-fits-all approach ineffective. Accurate TCO and ROI calculations are critical for building trust and demonstrating the long-term viability of an IBM solution, directly impacting the client's decision-making process and the sales team's credibility. The correct approach represents best professional practice, because it prioritizes a comprehensive and client-centric financial analysis. By engaging with the client's finance department and understanding their specific financial metrics and reporting requirements, the technical sales professional ensures that the TCO and ROI analysis is not only technically sound, but also financially relevant and persuasive to all stakeholders. This collaborative approach fosters transparency, builds confidence, and aligns the proposed solution with the client's strategic financial objectives. It demonstrates a commitment to delivering value beyond the initial purchase price, which is a cornerstone of ethical and effective technical sales. An incorrect approach that focuses solely on upfront hardware and software costs, neglecting ongoing operational expenses, maintenance, and potential savings from improved efficiency or reduced downtime, fails to provide a complete TCO picture. This omission can lead to a misleading financial projection, potentially causing the client to underestimate the true investment and overstate the ROI. Ethically, this is problematic as it can be perceived as intentionally downplaying costs to secure a sale, violating principles of honesty and fair dealing. Another incorrect approach that relies on generic industry benchmarks without tailoring them to the client's specific environment and usage patterns is also professionally unsound. While benchmarks can offer a starting point, they do not account for the unique workload, existing infrastructure, and operational nuances of a particular client. This can result in inaccurate ROI calculations, leading to unmet expectations and potential dissatisfaction. From a regulatory and ethical standpoint, presenting unsubstantiated or generalized financial projections without proper due diligence can be seen as misrepresentation. A third incorrect approach that avoids discussing potential risks or challenges associated with the implementation and ongoing management of the power system solution, or that presents an overly optimistic view of cost savings, is also flawed. Professional sales practice demands a balanced perspective that acknowledges potential hurdles and their financial implications. Failing to do so erodes trust and can lead to significant client dissatisfaction if unforeseen issues arise. This lack of transparency can be considered an ethical failure, as it does not equip the client with the full picture needed for informed decision-making. The professional reasoning process for such situations should involve a thorough discovery phase to understand the client's technical requirements, business objectives, and financial constraints. This should be followed by a collaborative development of TCO and ROI models involving relevant client stakeholders, IT, finance, business units. Transparency regarding assumptions, methodologies, and potential risks is paramount. Finally, the proposed solution's financial justification should be presented clearly and concisely, allowing the client to make an informed decision based on a realistic assessment of value. Question 11. System analysis indicates a client is highly enthusiastic about leveraging IBM Power Systems scale-up capabilities to significantly boost application performance. However, they have provided limited details regarding their current operational environment, existing compliance frameworks, and specific data governance policies. What is the most prudent technical sales approach to ensure a successful and compliant implementation? Option A. Proceed with the scale-up solution based on the client's stated performance objectives, assuming their existing infrastructure can accommodate the changes and that all compliance requirements will be met post-implementation. Option B. Initiate a detailed impact assessment that thoroughly evaluates the technical, operational, financial, and regulatory implications of the proposed scale-up solution on the client's existing infrastructure, data, and compliance posture. Option C. Recommend the most cost-effective scale-up option, emphasizing immediate savings, and deferring any in-depth analysis of operational integration or regulatory compliance to a later, post-deployment phase. Option D. Focus exclusively on demonstrating the performance benchmarks of the IBM Power Systems scale-up solution, assuring the client that superior performance will inherently address any underlying operational or compliance concerns. The correct answer is B. Initiate a detailed impact assessment that thoroughly evaluates the technical, operational, financial, and regulatory implications of the proposed scale-up solution on the client's existing infrastructure, data, and compliance posture. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in technical sales where a client is eager to adopt new technology without fully understanding its potential ramifications. The professional challenge lies in balancing the client's enthusiasm with a responsible and thorough assessment of the impact of implementing IBM Power Systems scale-up solutions. A rushed or superficial impact assessment can lead to unforeseen operational disruptions, compliance issues, and ultimately, client dissatisfaction, which can have reputational and financial consequences for both the client and the vendor. The need for careful judgment stems from the responsibility to provide solutions that are not only technically sound, but also strategically aligned with the client's business objectives and regulatory environment. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves conducting a comprehensive impact assessment that considers technical, operational, financial, and regulatory aspects. This includes evaluating how the new power system scale-up solution will affect existing infrastructure, application performance, data integrity, security protocols, and compliance with relevant regulations. This approach is best professional practice because it demonstrates due diligence, builds trust with the client by addressing potential risks proactively, and ensures that the proposed solution is a good fit for the client's specific needs and constraints. From a regulatory perspective, a thorough impact assessment helps identify potential compliance gaps early on, allowing for mitigation strategies to be implemented before deployment, thereby avoiding penalties and legal repercussions. This aligns with the ethical obligation to provide honest and accurate advice. Incorrect approach is analysis. Focusing solely on performance gains without considering the broader operational and regulatory implications is a significant regulatory and ethical failure. This approach neglects the client's responsibility to maintain compliance with data privacy laws, industry-specific regulations, and security standards. It can lead to the deployment of a system that, while fast, is non-compliant, exposing the client to fines, legal action, and reputational damage. Prioritizing cost reduction above all else, without a commensurate evaluation of the impact on system stability, security, or regulatory adherence, is also professionally unacceptable. While cost is a critical factor, it should not supersede the fundamental requirements of a secure, reliable, and compliant IT infrastructure. This can lead to the selection of solutions that are cheaper in the short term, but incur higher long-term costs due to compliance failures, security breaches, or performance issues. Ignoring potential integration challenges with existing legacy systems and assuming seamless compatibility is another failure. This oversight can result in significant operational disruptions, extended downtime, and unexpected costs associated with remediation. From a regulatory standpoint, if the integration issues compromise data integrity or security, it can lead to non-compliance with data protection regulations. Professional reasoning. Professionals should adopt a structured decision-making process that begins with a deep understanding of the client's business objectives and regulatory landscape. This involves actively listening to the client's needs, asking probing questions about their current environment, and identifying potential risks and opportunities. The next step is to perform a thorough impact assessment, covering all relevant domains: technical, operational, financial, regulatory, security. This assessment should inform the recommendation of solutions that not only meet performance requirements, but also align with the client's compliance obligations and risk tolerance. Transparency with the client about potential impacts and mitigation strategies is crucial throughout the process. This iterative approach ensures that the proposed solution is robust, compliant, and ultimately beneficial to the client's long-term success. Question 12. Which approach would be most effective for a technical sales professional when a client requests a specific, older configuration of IBM Power Systems hardware for a new deployment, citing familiarity as the primary reason? Option A. Immediately confirm the order for the requested older configuration, assuring the client that their preference will be met without further discussion. Option B. Engage in a detailed discovery session to understand the client's underlying business objectives and technical requirements, then propose an optimized IBM Power Systems solution that addresses their needs and offers superior scalability and modern features. Option C. Provide a generic overview of various IBM Power Systems models and their general capabilities, allowing the client to make their own selection without specific guidance. Option D. Politely decline the client's request for the older configuration and insist on implementing the latest, most advanced IBM Power Systems model available, regardless of the client's stated familiarity. Correct answer is B. Engage in a detailed discovery session to understand the client's underlying business objectives and technical requirements, then propose an optimized IBM power system solution that addresses their needs and offers superior scalability and modern features. Explanation. The scenario presents a common challenge in technical sales, balancing a client's immediate perceived needs with a more strategic, long-term solution that aligns with best practices and potentially future scalability. The client's request for a specific, potentially outdated, configuration might stem from familiarity or a misunderstanding of current capabilities. A technical sales professional must navigate this by understanding the underlying business problem the client is trying to solve, rather than simply fulfilling a direct hardware request. This requires a consultative approach, probing for objectives and constraints. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes understanding the client's business objectives and technical requirements before proposing a solution. This aligns with ethical sales principles of providing value and ensuring customer success, rather than simply pushing a product. In the context of IBM Power Systems, this means leveraging knowledge of the platform's evolution, including its scale-up capabilities and modern features, to offer a solution that is not only functional but also optimized for performance, efficiency, and future growth. This consultative selling methodology, focusing on solving the client's problem, is implicitly supported by industry best practices and IBM's own sales enablement guidelines, which emphasize customer centricity and solution selling. An incorrect approach that focuses solely on the client's stated hardware preference, without further inquiry, fails to act in the client's best interest. This could lead to a suboptimal solution that does not meet their true business needs, potentially causing future performance issues or limiting their ability to scale. Ethically, this could be viewed as a failure to provide adequate technical advice. Another incorrect approach, which involves immediately dismissing the client's request and pushing a completely different, unproven solution, can alienate the client and damage trust. It bypasses the client's current understanding and may not address their specific concerns or perceived risks. This approach lacks the necessary due diligence to ensure the proposed alternative is truly superior for their unique situation. Professionals should employ a decision-making framework that begins with active listening and thorough discovery. This involves asking open-ended questions to understand the client's business goals, current pain points, and desired outcomes. Following discovery, the professional should leverage their technical expertise to map these requirements to the most appropriate IBM Power Systems solutions, considering factors like performance, scalability, cost-effectiveness, and future-proofing. Presenting a range of options, explaining the trade-offs, and recommending a solution based on a clear understanding of the client's needs, rather than just their initial request, constitutes sound professional judgment. Question 13. The review process indicates that while the proposed IBM Power Systems scale-up solution offers significant performance enhancements, there are outstanding questions regarding its alignment with the client's strict data sovereignty requirements for sensitive financial data processed within the European Union. What is the most appropriate next step for the technical sales professional? Option A. Immediately proceed with the solution, as IBM Power Systems are designed with robust security features that inherently address most compliance needs. Option B. Advise the client to consult their own legal counsel regarding data sovereignty, shifting the responsibility for compliance verification entirely to them. Option C. Schedule a follow-up meeting with the client's legal and compliance officers to specifically discuss and document how the proposed solution will meet their data sovereignty obligations within the EU. Option D. Focus the discussion solely on the technical performance benefits and scalability of the solution, assuming the client's IT department will manage any compliance-related issues. The correct answer is A. Immediately proceed with the solution, as IBM Power Systems are designed with robust security features that inherently address most compliance needs. Explanation. The review process indicates a potential misalignment between the proposed IBM Power Systems scale-up solution and the client's stated business objectives, specifically concerning data sovereignty and compliance with data protection regulations. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires the technical sales professional to balance the technical merits of the proposed solution with the critical legal and regulatory requirements of the client's industry and geographic location. Misinterpreting or overlooking these requirements can lead to significant financial penalties, reputational damage, and loss of client trust. The correct approach involves proactively identifying and addressing potential compliance gaps by engaging with the client's legal and compliance teams. This demonstrates a commitment to understanding and adhering to the client's regulatory environment, which is paramount in regulated industries. It ensures that the proposed solution not only meets performance and scalability needs, but also satisfies all legal and ethical obligations regarding data handling and residency. This proactive engagement aligns with the ethical obligation to provide solutions that are fit for purpose and compliant, thereby safeguarding the client's interests and upholding professional integrity. An incorrect approach would be to proceed with the solution without thoroughly verifying its compliance with data sovereignty laws. This could involve assuming that the client has already handled all necessary compliance checks or that the standard IBM Power Systems offerings inherently meet all regional data protection mandates. Such an assumption is a significant regulatory and ethical failure. It neglects the responsibility to ensure that proposed technology solution does not inadvertently expose the client to legal risks. Furthermore, it bypasses the due diligence required to confirm that data processed and stored by the solution will remain within the stipulated geographic boundaries, a critical aspect of data sovereignty. Another incorrect approach would be to downplay the client's concerns about data sovereignty, perhaps by focusing solely on the technical performance benefits. This demonstrates a lack of understanding of the client's risk appetite and regulatory constraints, leading to a solution that, while technically superior, is not practically viable or legally permissible. This failure to prioritize compliance over purely technical features is an ethical lapse and a breach of professional responsibility. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a structured approach. 1. Understand the client's business and regulatory landscape. Thoroughly research the client's industry, geographic location, and any specific regulations that govern their data handling practices. 2. Identify potential compliance risks. Proactively assess how the proposed technical solution might interact with these regulations, particularly concerning data residency, privacy, and security. 3. Engage stakeholders. Collaborate with the client's legal, compliance, and IT security teams to validate assumptions and address any identified concerns. 4. Tailor the solution. Modify or augment the proposed solution to ensure full compliance with all applicable laws and regulations. 5. Document compliance measures. Maintain clear records of all compliance-related discussions, decisions, and implemented safeguards. Question 14. The analysis reveals that a client is requesting a specific IBM Power Systems scale-up configuration based on a perceived need for immediate performance gains, but has not provided detailed information about their underlying business objectives, current infrastructure limitations, or potential operational risks. Which of the following approaches best represents a professionally responsible and ethically sound method for proceeding with this engagement? Option A. Focus solely on the technical specifications of the requested configuration, highlighting its advanced features and promising that it will deliver the desired performance improvements without further investigation into broader business implications. Option B. Conduct a thorough risk assessment that evaluates the client's business objectives, current environment, and potential operational risks in relation to various IBM Power Systems scale-up options, and use this assessment to guide the recommendation of the most suitable solution. Option C. Immediately proceed with the client's requested configuration, assuring them that it will meet their performance needs and address any potential issues that may arise post-implementation. Option D. Inform the client that a detailed risk assessment is a post-sale activity and that the primary focus should be on securing the sale by confirming their preferred configuration. Correct answer is B. Conduct a thorough risk assessment that evaluates the client's business objectives, current environment, and potential operational risks in relation to various IBM Power Systems scale-up options, and use this assessment to guide the recommendation of the most suitable solution. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge because it requires balancing the client's immediate perceived needs with a thorough, risk-based assessment of their actual requirements for IBM Power Systems scale-up. The client's desire for a specific solution, without a comprehensive understanding of their underlying business objectives and potential risks, can lead to suboptimal or even detrimental technology choices. Careful judgment is required to guide the client towards a solution that aligns with their long-term strategic goals and mitigates potential operational and financial risks, rather than simply fulfilling a stated preference. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes a structured risk assessment aligned with the client's business objectives. This aligns with ethical sales practices that emphasize understanding and addressing client needs, rather than pushing a predetermined solution. By conducting a thorough risk assessment, the technical sales professional ensures that the proposed IBM Power Systems scale-up solution is not only technically feasible, but also strategically sound, cost-effective in the long run, and resilient to potential disruptions. This proactive approach minimizes the likelihood of future issues, such as performance bottlenecks, security vulnerabilities, or integration challenges, which could negatively impact the client's operations and reputation. This also implicitly adheres to principles of responsible technology deployment, ensuring that solutions are fit for purpose and do not introduce undue risk. An incorrect approach that focuses solely on the client's stated preference without a risk assessment fails to uphold professional responsibility. This can lead to the deployment of a solution that does not adequately address the client's true business needs or introduces unforeseen risks. Ethically, this is a failure to act in the client's best interest, potentially leading to financial loss, operational disruption, and reputational damage for the client. Such an approach could also be seen as a breach of trust, as the sales professional has not acted as a trusted advisor. Another incorrect approach, which involves overpromising capabilities without a thorough risk assessment, is professionally unacceptable. This misrepresents the potential of the IBM Power Systems solution and sets unrealistic expectations. This is a direct ethical failure, as it involves deception and can lead to significant disappointment and financial repercussions for the client when the promised outcomes are not realized. It also undermines the credibility of the sales professional and IBM. A third incorrect approach, which involves delaying the risk assessment until after the sale, is also professionally unsound. This indicates a lack of foresight and a failure to integrate risk management into the sales process. It shifts the burden of identifying and mitigating risks to the client or implementation team, potentially leading to costly rework, project delays, and a compromised solution. This approach neglects the fundamental principle of proactive risk management, which is crucial for successful technology deployments. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a structured approach that begins with understanding the client's business objectives and challenges. This should be followed by a comprehensive risk assessment that identifies potential technical, operational, financial, and security risks associated with different scale-up strategies for IBM Power Systems. The sales professional should then use this assessment to collaboratively develop a solution that not only meets the client's stated needs, but also effectively mitigates identified risks and aligns with their long-term strategic vision. This consultative and risk-aware approach ensures that the client receives the most appropriate and beneficial solution. Question 15. Operational review demonstrates that a client has requested a specific configuration of IBM Power Systems hardware, citing an immediate need for increased processing power for a particular application. As a technical sales professional, what is the most appropriate next step to ensure the best long-term outcome for the client? Option A. Focus solely on the technical specifications of the requested hardware and explain how it meets the immediate application performance requirements. Option B. Immediately confirm the requested hardware configuration and proceed with the order to meet the client's urgent request. Option C. Politely decline the client's request and propose a completely different, more advanced IBM Power Systems solution that you believe is superior. Option D. Engage in a deeper discovery process to understand the client's underlying business objectives, growth projections, and potential future application needs before recommending a solution. The correct answer is D. Engage in a deeper discovery process to understand the client's underlying business objectives, growth projections, and potential future application needs before recommending a solution. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in technical sales where a client's perceived immediate need for a specific hardware configuration might conflict with a more strategic, long-term solution that offers greater business value and scalability. The challenge lies in balancing the client's expressed desire with the technical sales professional's responsibility to provide the most effective and future-proof solution, aligning with IBM's best practices and the client's overall business objectives. Over-reliance on the client's initial request without deeper exploration risks a suboptimal deployment, potential future dissatisfaction, and missed opportunities for value-added solutions. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a consultative sales methodology, focusing on understanding the client's underlying business problem and strategic goals before recommending a specific technical solution. This aligns with best professional practice by prioritizing the client's business outcomes over a potentially narrow, immediate request. By asking probing questions about their business objectives, growth plans, and pain points, the technical sales professional can identify opportunities to propose a more robust and scalable IBM Power Systems solution that not only meets current needs, but also supports future expansion and innovation. This approach demonstrates ethical responsibility by ensuring the client receives the most beneficial solution, not just the one they initially asked for. It also aligns with the spirit of technical sales, which is to leverage technology to solve business challenges effectively. Incorrect approaches analysis. One incorrect approach is to immediately agree to the client's specific hardware configuration request without further inquiry. This fails to uphold professional responsibility by potentially overlooking a more suitable or cost-effective solution. It could lead to a situation where the client's needs evolve, and the initially deployed system becomes inadequate, requiring costly upgrades or replacements. This approach also risks a regulatory or ethical failure if it leads to a misrepresentation of the best solution available or a failure to act in the client's best interest. Another incorrect approach is to dismiss the client's request outright and push a completely different, potentially more complex, solution without adequately understanding the rationale behind their initial specification. This can alienate the client and damage the professional relationship. It demonstrates a lack of active listening and a failure to respect the client's input, which is crucial for building trust and achieving a successful sales outcome. Ethically, it can be seen as imposing a solution rather than collaborating to find the best fit. A third incorrect approach is to focus solely on the technical specifications of the requested hardware without connecting it to the client's business value or return on investment. This misses the opportunity to demonstrate the strategic advantage of IBM Power Systems and can result in a sale based on features rather than benefits, leaving the client questioning the overall value proposition. This approach is professionally deficient as it fails to articulate the why behind the technology, which is essential for informed decision-making. Professional reasoning. Professionals should employ a structured decision-making framework that begins with active listening and thorough discovery. This involves understanding the client's business context, challenges, and aspirations. Following discovery, the professional should analyze the gathered information to identify potential solutions that align with both the client's stated needs and their broader strategic objectives. The next step is to present a well-reasoned recommendation, clearly articulating the benefits, potential ROI, and scalability of the proposed solution, while also addressing any concerns or alternatives. This consultative approach ensures that decisions are data-driven, client-centric, and ethically sound, leading to mutually beneficial outcomes. Question 16. The assessment process reveals that a prospective client is requesting a specific IBM Power Systems configuration, stating it is what they need for their current critical application. However, the salesperson suspects this configuration might be a short-term fix that doesn't account for their projected business growth over the next 3 to 5 years. What is the most appropriate technical sales approach in this situation? Option A. Conduct a thorough discovery to understand the client's business objectives, application workload characteristics, and future growth projections before recommending a solution. Option B. Immediately confirm the client's requested configuration to expedite the sales cycle and meet their stated immediate need. Option C. Focus solely on the technical specifications of the requested configuration, assuring the client it will meet their current performance requirements. Option D. Propose the highest-tier IBM Power Systems configuration available, assuming future growth will eventually justify the investment. The correct answer is A. Conduct a thorough discovery to understand the client's business objectives, application workload characteristics, and future growth projections before recommending a solution. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in technical sales where a client's perceived immediate need for a specific hardware configuration might not align with the most strategic or cost-effective long-term solution. The technical salesperson is tasked with not only understanding the client's stated requirements, but also with identifying underlying business objectives and potential future growth. The challenge lies in balancing the client's immediate demands with the broader implications of the proposed solution, ensuring it delivers optimal value and avoids potential technical debt or performance bottlenecks down the line. This requires a deep understanding of the IBM Power Systems portfolio, its scalability features, and the client's industry context. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a thorough discovery process to understand the client's business objectives, current pain points, and future growth projections. This includes asking probing questions about their application workloads, data processing needs, and anticipated increases in user base or transaction volume. Based on this comprehensive understanding, the salesperson can then recommend a solution that not only meets immediate needs, but also incorporates scalability and flexibility for future expansion. This aligns with best professional practice by prioritizing client success and long-term value. In the context of IBM Power Systems, this means leveraging the platform's inherent scalability to design a solution that can grow with the business, potentially avoiding costly rip-and-replace scenarios later. This approach is ethically sound as it promotes transparency and ensures the client receives advice that genuinely benefits their organization. Incorrect approaches analysis. One incorrect approach is to immediately agree to the client's specific hardware configuration request without further investigation. This fails to demonstrate due diligence and could lead to an undersized or over-provisioned solution, both of which are detrimental to the client's business. Ethically, this approach prioritizes a quick sale over the client's best interests. Another incorrect approach is to push a higher-end, more expensive configuration than is currently necessary, solely based on the assumption of future growth without concrete evidence or client confirmation. This can be perceived as upselling without justification and erodes trust. It also fails to consider the client's budget and immediate return on investment. A third incorrect approach is to focus solely on technical specifications without understanding the business impact. This demonstrates a lack of strategic thinking and fails to position the IBM Power Systems solution as a business enabler. Professional reasoning. Professionals should employ a consultative sales approach. This involves active listening, asking open-ended questions, and demonstrating a genuine interest in understanding the client's business. A structured discovery framework, such as a needs analysis or a business value assessment, is crucial. This framework should guide the salesperson to uncover not just technical requirements, but also the underlying business drivers, challenges, and aspirations. By aligning the proposed IBM Power Systems solution with these business objectives, the salesperson can build credibility and ensure the client makes an informed decision that maximizes their return on investment and supports their long-term strategic goals. Question 17. During the evaluation of a client's request for a significant upgrade to their IBM Power Systems infrastructure to handle increased transaction volumes, what is the most effective approach for a technical sales professional to ensure the client achieves optimal business outcomes? Option A. Focus solely on the client's stated requirement for increased transaction volume and recommend the most cost-effective hardware upgrade that meets that specific metric. Option B. Immediately propose the highest capacity IBM Power Systems model available, assuming that increased transaction volume directly correlates with the need for maximum processing power. Option C. Conduct a thorough analysis of the client's current business processes and application workloads to identify opportunities for optimization before recommending specific hardware configurations. Option D. Downplay the potential benefits of process optimization and focus on the immediate hardware upgrade to expedite the sales cycle. The correct answer is C. Conduct a thorough analysis of the client's current business processes and application workloads to identify opportunities for optimization before recommending specific hardware configurations. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge because it requires balancing the client's immediate perceived needs with the long-term strategic benefits of a more optimized solution. The technical sales professional must navigate potential resistance to change and demonstrate clear value beyond simply meeting a stated requirement. The regulatory framework for technical sales, particularly within the context of IBM Power Systems, emphasizes providing solutions that are not only technically sound, but also align with business objectives and adhere to ethical sales practices, which include avoiding misrepresentation and ensuring client understanding. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes a thorough understanding of the client's underlying business processes and objectives before proposing a solution. This aligns with ethical sales guidelines that mandate providing accurate and comprehensive information and ensuring that the proposed solution genuinely addresses the client's needs and offers demonstrable value. By focusing on process optimization, the technical sales professional moves beyond a transactional sale to a consultative partnership, building trust and fostering a long-term relationship. This proactive and analytical approach ensures that the client receives a solution that enhances efficiency and scalability, rather than just fulfilling a superficial request. An incorrect approach that focuses solely on the client's initial request without further investigation fails to uphold professional responsibility. This could lead to a suboptimal solution that does not address the root cause of the client's challenges, potentially resulting in wasted resources and dissatisfaction. Ethically, this could be viewed as a failure to act in the client's best interest, as it prioritizes a quick sale over a truly beneficial outcome. Another incorrect approach, which involves immediately proposing the most powerful and expensive system without understanding the specific workload or potential for optimization, is also professionally unsound. This can be seen as a form of upselling that is not justified by the client's actual requirements, potentially leading to overprovisioning and unnecessary costs. This violates the principle of providing value and could be perceived as predatory sales behavior. A third incorrect approach, which involves downplaying the potential benefits of process optimization to expedite the sale, is ethically problematic, misrepresents the potential for improvement, and deprives the client of valuable insights that could lead to significant long-term gains. This undermines the integrity of the sales process and the professional reputation of the sales representative. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a structured approach. 1. Understand the client's business context. Go beyond the stated technical requirement to understand the client's business goals, operational challenges, and existing processes. 2. Identify root causes. Investigate the underlying reasons for the client's request. Is it a symptom of a larger process inefficiency? 3. Propose value-driven solutions. Recommend solutions that not only meet technical specifications but also offer tangible business benefits, such as improved efficiency, reduced costs, or enhanced scalability. 4. Educate and collaborate. Clearly explain the rationale behind the proposed solution, including any recommended process changes, and work collaboratively with the client to ensure buy-in and successful implementation. 5. Maintain ethical standards. Always act with integrity, providing accurate information and prioritizing the client's best interests. Question 18. Process analysis reveals that a client is experiencing significant performance degradation in their critical financial reporting applications. They have expressed a desire to upgrade their existing IBM Power Systems hardware to a newer, more powerful scale-up model, believing this will directly resolve their issues. However, the sales representative suspects that the performance problems may stem from inefficient application code and suboptimal data management practices rather than solely hardware limitations. Which of the following approaches best represents a professional and effective strategy for addressing this client's situation? Option A. Advise the client to investigate alternative solutions from competitors that might offer a different architectural approach to their financial reporting applications, as the current IBM Power Systems infrastructure may be inherently limiting. Option B. Focus the sales discussion exclusively on the technical specifications and benchmark performance data of the newer IBM Power Systems scale-up hardware, highlighting its superior processing power and memory capacity. Option C. Immediately proceed with the proposed hardware upgrade to the latest IBM Power Systems scale-up model, as the client has explicitly requested it, assuming their assessment of the problem is accurate. Option D. Conduct a comprehensive assessment of the client's current application performance, data workflows, and business processes to identify specific bottlenecks and areas for optimization before recommending any hardware upgrades. The correct answer is D. Conduct a comprehensive assessment of the client's current application performance, data workflows, and business processes to identify specific bottlenecks and areas for optimization before recommending any hardware upgrades. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in technical sales where a client's perceived need for a specific technology solution might be misaligned with their actual business objectives and operational realities. The professional challenge lies in moving beyond a transactional sale of hardware to a consultative engagement that addresses the root cause of the client's performance issues. This requires a deep understanding of the client's business processes, not just their IT infrastructure, and the ability to articulate the value of IBM Power Systems scale-up solutions in a way that directly impacts their operational efficiency and strategic goals. The pressure to close a deal can sometimes lead to overlooking these critical foundational steps, making careful judgment essential. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach emphasizes a thorough understanding of the client's existing processes and identifying bottlenecks before proposing a solution. This aligns with best professional practice by ensuring that any proposed IBM Power Systems scale-up solution is tailored to address specific, validated pain points and contributes demonstrably to process optimization. This consultative selling methodology, focused on understanding the why behind the client's request, leads to more sustainable and valuable outcomes for the client, fostering trust and long-term relationships. It also implicitly adheres to ethical sales practices by prioritizing the client's best interests over a potentially ill-fitting product sale. While no specific U.S. regulations directly govern this sales process, the principles of fair dealing and avoiding misrepresentation are foundational. Incorrect approaches analysis. Proposing a direct upgrade without understanding the underlying process issues is an incorrect approach. This represents a failure in professional due diligence and can lead to a misallocation of resources for the client, potentially resulting in a solution that doesn't deliver the expected benefits. Ethically, it borders on misrepresentation if the sales representative knows or should know that the proposed solution doesn't address the core problem. Focusing solely on the technical specifications of IBM Power Systems scale-up hardware without linking them to business outcomes is also an incorrect approach. This demonstrates a lack of business acumen and fails to provide the client with a clear return on investment justification. It can lead to a perception that the sales representative is more interested in selling a product than solving a problem, which erodes trust. Recommending a solution based on competitor offerings, rather than a thorough analysis of the client's specific needs and the capabilities of IBM Power Systems scale-up, is a significant professional and ethical failure. This indicates a lack of commitment to understanding the client's unique situation and a potential disregard for the strengths of the IBM portfolio. It can also lead to a suboptimal solution for the client. Professional reasoning. Professionals should adopt a consultative sales framework. This involves active listening, probing questions to uncover underlying needs, and a commitment to understanding the client's business processes and objectives. The decision-making process should prioritize a diagnostic approach, identifying problems before prescribing solutions. This ensures that proposed IBM Power Systems scale-up solutions are not just technically sound, but also strategically aligned with the client's business goals, leading to demonstrable improvements in process optimization and overall business performance. Question 19. The monitoring system demonstrates a consistent pattern of elevated I/O wait times and intermittent spikes in CPU utilization on an IBM Power Systems scale-up server, without any recent changes logged in the system's configuration or application deployment. What is the most appropriate next step for a technical sales professional to assess the potential impact on the client's business operations? Option A. Immediately initiate a full-scale disaster recovery assessment and recommend the client activate their business continuity plan. Option B. Provide the client with a definitive diagnosis of a specific hardware failure and propose an immediate hardware replacement. Option C. Advise the client that the monitoring data is likely erroneous and no further action is required. Option D. Correlate the observed performance metrics with known IBM Power Systems scale-up workload characteristics and potential failure modes. Then communicate preliminary findings to the client with a recommendation for their IT team to investigate further. The correct answer is D. Correlate the observed performance metrics with known IBM Power Systems scale-up workload characteristics and potential failure modes. Then communicate preliminary findings to the client with a recommendation for their IT team to investigate further. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a professional challenge because it requires a technical sales professional to interpret system performance data and its implications for a client's business operations without direct access to the client's internal IT team or full operational context. The pressure to provide a timely and accurate impact assessment, especially concerning potential service disruptions, necessitates a structured and evidence-based approach. Misinterpreting the data or overstating its implications could lead to incorrect recommendations, wasted client resources, or damage to the professional relationship. The absence of direct client confirmation for the observed anomalies adds a layer of uncertainty that must be managed. Correct approach analysis. The best professional practice involves a multifaceted approach that prioritizes data validation, contextualization, and clear communication. This begins with verifying the integrity of the monitoring data itself to ensure it accurately reflects the system's state. Subsequently, the professional must correlate the observed anomalies with known IBM power systems scale-up capabilities and potential failure modes, drawing upon their technical expertise and product knowledge. The crucial step is to then translate these technical observations into potential business impacts, considering factors like workload criticality and performance degradation. Finally, presenting these findings to the client with clear caveats about the preliminary nature of the assessment and recommending further investigation by the client's IT team is paramount. This approach aligns with ethical sales practices by providing honest, technically sound, and actionable insights without overstepping boundaries or making unsubstantiated claims. It respects the client's ownership of their operational environment and empowers them to make informed decisions. Incorrect approaches analysis. One incorrect approach involves immediately escalating to a full-scale disaster recovery plan based solely on the monitoring data without further validation or contextualization. This represents a regulatory and ethical failure because it can lead to unnecessary panic, significant unbudgeted expenses for the client, and a loss of trust due to alarmism. It fails to adhere to the principle of proportionality in response to observed events. Another incorrect approach is to dismiss the monitoring data as insignificant or a false positive without any attempt to investigate or correlate it with potential system issues. This is a critical ethical failure, as it neglects a potential indicator of impending problems that could lead to significant service disruption and financial loss for the client. It violates the duty of care to proactively identify and flag potential risks. A third incorrect approach is to provide a definitive diagnosis and solution to the client based on the preliminary monitoring data without involving the client's IT team or seeking further information. This oversteps professional boundaries and can lead to incorrect remediation efforts, potentially exacerbating the problem or causing new ones. It is an ethical failure to provide unqualified technical advice that could negatively impact the client's operations. Professional reasoning. Professionals should adopt a decision-making process that begins with data integrity checks, followed by technical correlation and impact assessment. When faced with ambiguous or preliminary data, the process must include clear communication of uncertainties and a recommendation for collaborative investigation with the client. This iterative approach ensures that actions are proportionate to the observed evidence and that client trust is maintained through transparency and expertise. The focus should always be on enabling the client to make informed decisions based on accurate and well-analyzed information. Question 20. Regulatory review indicates that IBM Power Systems scale-up solution must be deployed with a keen awareness of potential operational and security risks. A client has expressed an urgent need for increased processing power and scalability to meet immediate business demands. Which of the following approaches best aligns with regulatory expectations for risk management in this scenario? Option A. Conduct a thorough risk assessment to identify potential vulnerabilities and compliance requirements specific to the client's environment before finalizing the solution design. Option B. Proceed with the solution design based on the client's stated performance requirements, assuming standard IBM security features will adequately address all potential risks. Option C. Prioritize the fastest possible deployment of the IBM Power Systems solution to meet the client's urgent business demands, deferring detailed risk analysis until after implementation. Option D. Focus exclusively on the client's stated performance and scalability needs, as these are the primary drivers for the technology upgrade. The correct answer is A. Conduct a thorough risk assessment to identify potential vulnerabilities and compliance requirements specific to the client's environment before finalizing the solution design. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a professional challenge because the technical sales representative must balance the client's immediate desire for a powerful, scalable solution with the regulatory imperative to conduct a thorough risk assessment. The pressure to close a sale can create a temptation to bypass or minimize crucial due diligence steps. Failure to adequately assess risks can lead to noncompliance, financial penalties, reputational damage, and ultimately, a solution that does not meet the client's long-term needs or regulatory obligations. The representative's role requires not just technical expertise, but also an understanding of the broader business and regulatory context. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves prioritizing a comprehensive risk assessment before finalizing the solution design and proposal. This aligns with regulatory frameworks that mandate due diligence and risk management in technology deployments, particularly concerning data security, operational continuity, and compliance with industry-specific regulations. By conducting a thorough risk assessment, the representative ensures that potential vulnerabilities and compliance gaps are identified early. This allows for the integration of appropriate safeguards, mitigation strategies, and compliance controls directly into the IBM Power Systems solution. This proactive approach demonstrates professional responsibility, builds client trust by showing a commitment to their long-term success and security, and prevents costly remediation efforts later. It also ensures that the proposed solution is not only technically sound, but also legally and ethically compliant. Incorrect approach is analysis. Focusing solely on the client's stated performance requirements without a preceding risk assessment is a significant regulatory and ethical failure. This approach ignores potential security threats, data privacy concerns, and operational risks that could have severe consequences for the client, and expose the sales representative and IBM to liability. It violates the principle of responsible technology deployment. Prioritizing the fastest possible deployment over a detailed risk assessment is another critical failure. While speed is often a business driver, regulatory frameworks emphasize that compliance and risk mitigation are paramount. Expediting deployment without understanding the associated risks can lead to security breaches, data loss, or noncompliance, which can far outweigh any perceived benefit of speed. This demonstrates a lack of professional judgment and a disregard for client protection. Assuming that standard IBM security features are sufficient without a specific risk assessment for the client's unique environment is also professionally unacceptable. While IBM provides robust security, the effectiveness of these features is context-dependent. A tailored risk assessment is necessary to identify specific threats and vulnerabilities relevant to the client's industry, data types, and operational processes. Relying on generic assumptions can leave critical risks unaddressed. Professional reasoning. Professionals in technical sales must adopt a risk-aware approach. The decision-making process should begin with understanding the client's business objectives and regulatory landscape. This is followed by a comprehensive risk assessment that identifies potential threats, vulnerabilities, and compliance requirements. Based on this assessment, the technical solution, including IBM Power Systems, should be designed and configured to mitigate identified risks and ensure compliance. The proposal and implementation plan should clearly articulate how risks have been addressed. This iterative process of assessment, design, and validation ensures that the delivered solution is both effective and compliant, safeguarding the client's interests and upholding professional integrity.